So it hit me because I never would have thought this was going to happen to my family, not my child. So I said, we have a foundation called Not My Child. So we opened this up because it resonated, because I remember the day of the scene, this could have never happened to me. And the more frequently I talk to other parents, I don't think they want to talk about it as much because they feel that they're immune to it. Anthony was born in August of 1995, August 2nd to be exact. Growing up as a kid here on the island, he played all the sports that we all do. Played baseball, was a lacrosse player, played football. The stories I hear from all his friends, he was the excitement of the room when he walked in. He was comical, he was always comical to Alice. Anthony was an I love you dad kind of guy, very respectful, always happy. I came home one day from work and Anthony was really upset in the house, and I had asked him what was wrong. And a friend that he had graduated from high school with named Zach passed away. And I asked, how did Zach pass away? And if everybody knew Zach in his community, he was a standout athlete, good kid, opted to join the Marines, got hurt in the Marines, and was put on some painkillers, and the rest is history. It bothered Anthony, and Anthony had made a comment to me that the family was struggling with some funeral costs, and that down at a local restaurant here at Ramshead, they were going to do a fundraiser, and half the proceeds would go to the funeral costs. We were there for several hours and bought some, silent auction items, but Anthony never came, and it bothered me. And for somebody to be so impacted at the loss of a friend, I couldn't understand why he never came. So I drove home and I knocked on his bedroom door, and Anthony had a very similar personality to me, and we're a very close family. I know Anthony very well. He didn't have to say a word. When he opened up his door, I looked at him, and I looked at him and I said, "You're using, aren't you?" And he had tears in his eyes. We both grabbed each other, we fell to the ground, and I said, "I'm sorry." He said, "I'm sorry I disappointed you." And I said, "You didn't disappoint me." I said, "What we need to do is get you fixed." So I'd asked Anthony, I said, "How did you come upon doing this?" And he'd said, well, he was on pain meds during his treatment of the Bartonella. And when the Bartonella was over, they discontinued doing the pain meds. And he was sick to his stomach a lot because he had become addicted to opioid pills. With that said, the street value is $30 to $40 a pill. And he was presented one night at a bonfire party here on the island, and somebody showed him a bag of heroin for $10 for half a gram. He snorted, and the rest was history. It took only 6 weeks to capture his life. Anthony was on his way to recovery. We had a bed waiting for him. There was a night that him and one of his best friends that he grew up with, Carson Freeman, they were in my house, and they were happy. They were talking about going over to Carson's mother's house. And I remember turning around, and we always said the I love yous before we all parted ways, my kids and I. And I said, just be careful tonight, and I'll see you tomorrow, because I knew I'd be home late and he was going to stay at Carson's. Well, I'd never see my son again. At some time that night, he had passed. I didn't know about it until the following morning. My daughter had called me crying on the phone. She had said that, "Dad, I heard that Carson passed last night, and I just ran in. I see Mr. Freeman, unfortunately, running out of a house." And I said, "Where are you?" And I said, "Where's Anthony's car?" She said, "Anthony's car's here." And immediately you get this gut feeling, and there was this weight over me. And I kept driving around and couldn't find the right, and I guess because of the numbness, I couldn't find the right address. And when I finally got there was a lot of apparatuses there from the fire department. Obviously the lights were off, and there was one unit there, was the coroner's office, and I knew it wasn't well. So at that point, I'd seen my children's mother off to the side on some steps in a really bad crying, and I walked up. I was walking to the scene, and there was a gentleman walking to me in a suit, and he says to me, he says, "And you are?" And I said, "I'm Anthony Regan, Sr." And as I looked at him, I said, "My son passed, didn't he?" And he had tears in his eyes, because I guess these people see this a lot, and they see the devastation that it does. When Anthony passed, I did. Everything was kind of a blur for like 90 days. I'm blessed to have a really good family. My family stepped in, and Anthony's memorial at the cemeteries was set up for me already. They took care of everything. So it was nice for that weight to be lifted off me, and it's not something that I had to endure. So as I visited Anthony at the cemetery, I'd noticed that there were several places where 4 other kids in the community had recently passed, and they don't have memorials. It was dawning to me because I would meet the parents up there as they would go visit, where the little plaque sticks out of the ground from the funeral home that says just their name and the date they passed and some flowers. So we opened this up because it resonated, because I remember the day of the scene. This could have never happened to me. And the more frequently I talk to other parents, I don't think they want to talk about it as much because they feel that they're immune to it. Whether their kids do well in school, and as soon as they get out of school, they're at one of the local ball fields, playing lacrosse, soccer, what have you, and then when they're home, they're doing homework. It's far beyond that, and it can happen to your child. And the moment that you say it's not going to happen to your child, you're more successful to it happen to your child because you're being a bliss to it. As a parent now, that I challenge everything that's given to my children, because I broke collarbones when I was younger, and I survived. So there was no reason to give my son fentanyl, so they gave him a liquid Motrin 800. But that's what we need to do as parents. Instead of saying, not my child, will never happen, you have to be their advocate at the beginning stages. And every time they go to the doctor, there's no such reason for an opioid. There isn't. I mean, I'm sure there are certain cases, but I mean, you have to challenge everything. That's your right. Just because your child's maybe over the age of 18 doesn't mean you don't monitor what they're doing. I know we're all adults, but so that's how it came to be, and it's taken off. It's done really well. It's sad that, when we go to the cemetery up here, I can point out 5 or 6 different sites just within 50 feet of Anthony who've all passed from the same thing. And that's a scary revelation when you know that there's more deaths related to that than there are car accidents and drunk driving. It's here, it's real, it's affected every family that I've known, whether it's from a friend, neighbor, or direct family. But the more we talk about it is the only way it's going to ever make a really impact. And unfortunately, because of all the children that have passed, or adults for that matter, in the recent years, it's becoming a household conversation. And because of things like you're doing right now, these are the things that help.